Do you think you know the Bible? Let's see. You've got 3 seconds per question. What was to burn continuously outside the curtain? Olive oil lamp. Who was responsible for keeping the lamp burning? Aaron and his sons. Who was chosen as high priest? Aaron. What was placed on the shoulders of the ephod? Stones with names of the tribes. How many stones were on the breastpiece? 12. What words were engraved on the golden plate of the high priest's turban? Holy to the Lord. What was used to fasten the breastpiece? Chains of gold. How many did you get right? Drop your score in the comments and challenge a friend to beat you. Subscribe for more brain-twisting fun every day.
In a faraway land called Uz lived a man named Job. He wasn't just any man. He was known as the most righteous person of his time. He loved God, did what was right, and stayed away from evil. Meet the man Job, walking through the fields with a smile. He always helped his servants, giving food to beggars and so on. Job was also very wealthy. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters, thousands of animals, and many servants. But what made Job truly special wasn't his riches, it was his faith. Every morning, Job would pray and offer sacrifices, just in case his children had done anything wrong without knowing. He often prayed, saying,
Lord, please forgive my children if they have sinned in their hearts. I want to honor you in all things.
And this was his regular practice. But far above the earth, something unexpected was happening. In the heavenly court, angels gathered, and Satan appeared among them. One day, the angels came to present themselves before God. And among them came Satan, the one who accuses people. And God asked him, Satan, where have you been? And he responded,
Oh, just wandering the earth, watching everything going on.
Then God asked him, Have you seen my servant Job? There's no one like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears me and turns away from evil. And Satan said,
Well, sure, but he only serves you because you've protected him. Take away everything he has, and he'll curse you to your face.
Then God said to him, Very well, you may test him. Take everything he has, but do not lay a finger on him. Job's peaceful life began to unravel, and just like that, Job's world turned upside down. His messengers rushed to him, one after another, each with devastating news. The first messenger reported that the Sabaeans raided and stole Job's oxen and donkeys, and killed his servants. The second one reported that fire fell from the sky and burned up his sheep and shepherds. The third one reported that the Chaldeans attacked and took his camels. And the fourth one reported, gasping, Your children, they were feasting. A wind blew the house down. They're all gone. Job fell to the ground, heartbroken. Then he said, The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Even in grief, Job didn't blame God. He worshipped instead. It was once again in the realm of the heavens. God said to Satan, Have you noticed Job? Even though you took everything, he still holds on to his faith. And Satan said,
Skin for skin. A man will give anything for his life. Strike his body, and he will curse you.
And God said, Fine. You may afflict his body, but spare his life. Job began to feel sick. He was struck with painful boils from head to toe. He sat in ashes, scraping his skin with a piece of broken pottery. His suffering was unbearable. Job groaned softly, sitting in pain. His wife even approached him, saying, Are you still holding on to your faith? Just curse God and die. But Job gently replied,
You're speaking like someone who doesn't understand. Should we accept only good from God and not trouble?
Still, Job didn't sin in what he said. Job's friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar also visited him. When they heard of his suffering, they came to comfort him. But when they saw him from afar, they barely recognized him. They wept, tore their clothes, and sat with him in silence for 7 days. It was a mournful time for them. After 7 days of silence, Job finally spoke. But what he said showed the depth of his pain. He lamented, saying,
I wish I had never been born. Why is life given to those who suffer? I have no peace, only fear and pain.
Job wasn't angry at God. He was simply honest. Honest about his grief, his questions, and his confusion. And his friends were really troubled. Job looked up, teary-eyed, saying,
Why, God? What did I do wrong?
Job didn't know about the conversation between God and Satan. He didn't understand why he was suffering, but he stayed honest. He cried, he questioned, he wrestled with his pain, but he never gave up on talking to God. Job's sorrow continued to increase instead. The story of Job reminds us that even good people can suffer, that pain doesn't always mean punishment, and that God can handle our questions, our sadness, even our doubts. Sometimes, Job would just close his eyes and lie down quietly, though still hurting. Sometimes, life doesn't make sense. But, like Job, we're invited to stay in the conversation with God, to trust, even in the darkness. Hold on, keep talking to God. He's listening. This is just the beginning of Job's story. But already we see that faith isn't just about praise when things are good. It's about clinging to God when everything falls apart. Thanks for watching. If Job's story moved you, take a moment to reflect. What does faith look like in your hardest times? You're not alone, and your questions are welcome here. Watch out for the part 2 of Job's story. Please subscribe, like, and share for more Bible stories. Bye for now.
Can you guess the answers to these Bible questions? You've got 3 seconds per question. What animals were used in Aaron's ordination? Bulls and rams. What was the purpose of the consecration ceremony? To make priests holy? How long did the ordination last? 7 days. What was the altar of incense made of? Acacia wood. What was placed on the altar of incense? Incense. How often was atonement money collected? Every year. What was the amount for atonement money? Half a shekel. How many did you get right? Drop your score in the comments and challenge a friend to beat you. Subscribe for more brain-twisting fun every day.
Previously, we met Job, a man who had it all, until he lost everything. His health, his family, and his wealth were all gone in a moment. Still, he didn't turn away from God, but the pain was real, and the questions in his heart were many. 3 of his friends came to sit with him in silence. Now, they begin to speak, not always with comfort, but with strong opinions. Job, still sitting in the ashes, sick and weary, while his friends sat nearby, under the shade of a tree. One of the friends was a man named Bildad. After Job poured out his sorrow, Bildad could no longer hold back his thoughts. With a serious, concerned tone, he said,
Job, how long will you keep talking like this? Does God ever do wrong? If your children sinned, maybe that's why they died. But if you live right and pray to God, He will restore you. Look at what happened to the people before us. The wicked never last.
Bildad believed that if something bad happened, it must be because of sin. But Job wasn't convinced. Job, shaking his head slowly, voice filled with emotion, responded,
I know God is just, but how can a human be perfect before Him? Even if I were innocent, I couldn't prove it. God is so great, He moves mountains and commands the sun, and it obeys. Who am I to argue with him?
Job's heart ached. He wasn't claiming to be perfect. He just didn't understand why he was suffering so much. He said further,
I wish there was someone to stand between me and God, someone who could speak for me. My life is short, full of pain. Even if I tried to smile, my suffering would still be there.
The discussion continued. Then Zophar, the third friend, stepped in. His words were sharp. He said,
Job, do you think your many words make you right? You say you're pure, but I wish God would speak and show you that you're not as innocent as you think. In fact, you probably deserve even more punishment.
Zophar thought Job was being proud. He believed Job needed to repent and stop complaining. He continued, but softer now.
But if you turn to God with all your heart, He will bless you again. You'll forget your troubles. Life will shine again.
Job replied again, saying,
You all think you're helping, but you're not. You speak as if only you have wisdom. But even I know these things. I have become a joke to my neighbors. Even though I called out to God and He answered me once.
Job felt misunderstood, even judged. His friends meant well, but they didn't know the whole story. Looking up to the sky, he said again,
Even if God kills me, I'll still trust Him. But I want to plead my case. I'm not hiding anything. So why do you keep accusing me?
Then Eliphaz spoke again. He couldn't stay silent. He said, Do you think you're the first man ever born? Is wisdom yours alone? We've seen many things in life too. Why do you turn away from comfort? Your words are dangerous. The more Job tried to express his pain, the more his friends pushed back, convinced he must have done something wrong. Eliphaz said, If people sin, they suffer. That's how it's always been. Evil brings trouble. That's just the truth. At this point, Job decided to give them his final reply, saying,
You are miserable comforters. If you were in my place, I could say the same. But I would try to strengthen you, not tear you down. God has worn me out. My face is red with weeping, and deep shadows rest on my eyes.
Even though Job felt crushed, he still held on to something deeper, a hope that there was more to the story, that somehow, even in the darkness, God still saw him. In this part of Job's story, we see deep emotions, hard questions, and friends who try, but fail, to truly understand. Job wasn't perfect, but he was honest. He told God exactly how he felt. And though his friends thought they had all the answers, they missed something important. Suffering doesn't always mean someone did wrong. Job teaches us that it's okay to ask hard questions. It's okay to grieve, and it's okay to not have all the answers. God is not afraid of our honesty. And sometimes, the best thing we can do for someone who's hurting is just to be there. When life hurts and answers feel far away, remember Job. Keep speaking to God, even through tears, because He listens. And the story isn't over yet. This is part 2 of Job's story. Watch out for the concluding part. Please subscribe, like, and share for more. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.
Do you know the Bible? Let's see. You've got 3 seconds per question. What was used to put water for washing before entering the tent? Bronze basin. Who was filled with God's Spirit to craft the tabernacle? Bezalel. Who helped Bezalel in the work? Oholiab. What was the penalty for breaking the Sabbath? Death. What did God give Moses on Mount Sinai? 2 stone tablets. Who made the golden calf? Aaron. What did Moses do when he saw the calf? Broke the tablets. How many did you get right? Drop your score in the comments and challenge a friend to beat you. Subscribe for more brain-twisting fun every day.
Welcome to the concluding part of Job's story. Recall from the previous episodes that Job had once been wealthy, respected, and surrounded by a loving family. But then, everything changed. Job lost his children, his wealth, and his health. His body was covered in painful sores, and his heart was full of grief. Job sat in ashes, confused and broken. His friends came to visit, but instead of comforting him, they blamed him for his suffering. Job didn't understand. He hadn't done anything wrong, and so he cried out to God, asking for answers. A great storm began to rise. Winds howled, clouds swirled. A bright light broke through. Then, suddenly, God answered Job, not in a whisper, not in silence, but from the heart of a mighty whirlwind, saying,
Who is this that questions my wisdom with words without knowledge? Stand up like a man. I will ask you questions, and you must answer me. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me, if you know so much. Who kept the sea inside its boundaries when it burst from the womb? Have you ever commanded the morning to appear and caused the dawn to rise in the east?
God's voice rolled like thunder. He reminded Job of his power, how he made the oceans, the skies, the animals, the stars. He showed Job that there were mysteries in creation too great for any human to understand. God continued to speak, saying,
Do you know where the snow is stored, or where I keep the hail? Can you guide the stars or control the lightning? Who gives wisdom to the heart and understanding to the mind?
Job fell to the ground, humbled, his eyes well up with tears. Then he replied politely, saying,
I spoke of things I did not understand, things too wonderful for me to know. I had only heard about you before, but now I have seen you with my own eyes. I take back everything I said and sit in dust and ashes to show my sorrow.
Job realized something important. Even in suffering, God is still good, wise, and in control. Sometimes we won't understand why things happen, but we can trust the one who made the world. Then the whirlwind faded. The sky cleared. Peace settled. Job sat quietly, changed. Then God turned to Job's friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, saying,
You have not spoken the truth about me, as my servant Job has. Take 7 bulls and 7 rams and go to Job. Offer a sacrifice for yourselves. My servant Job will pray for you, and I will accept his prayer.
The friends approached Job humbly, carrying animals. They bowed before him. The friends obeyed God's instruction, and Job, despite all they had said to him, forgave them and prayed, saying,
Lord, forgive them. Show them mercy.
And God did. Then something incredible happened. God restored Job's life. He gave Job twice as much as he had before. His brothers and sisters and old friends came to eat with him and comfort him. They gave him gifts of silver and gold. Job's home was full again. Laughter, children playing, animals grazing, the sun shining. Job had more sheep, camels, oxen, and donkeys than ever before. He had 7 sons and 3 beautiful daughters. He lived a long life, seeing his children and their children to the 4th generation. And so, Job's story didn't end in sadness. It ended in joy, blessing, and deeper faith. Not because Job got everything he wanted, but because he learned to trust God, no matter what. Sometimes, life doesn't make sense. We may go through storms we don't understand, but like Job, we can hold on. Because even in the whirlwind, God is with us, and He is always working for good. Remember, your story isn't over. Keep trusting, keep hoping. God sees you, He cares, and He has not forgotten you. That was how Job was restored many times better than before. And this is the concluding part of Job's story. Thanks for watching. For more of such inspiring Bible videos, please subscribe, like, and share. Bye for now.